There have been 11 domestic violence homicides in our state last year. 5 of them involved children. The most recent one just last week. A 7-month-old baby thrown over a bridge and into the water below.
It turns out the mother of the child knew something was going to happen. She had been trying for weeks to get a judge to help protect her son.
Tonight, Chief Investigator David Iverson is talking to domestic violence advocates and state leaders about what perhaps could have been done. He joins us live this evening from News 8 Control. David?
Keith, this mom told a judge she feared for her own safety and the safety of her son, but in a hearing last month, all that changed and the protection a court can provide was taken away. It's a mother's plea for a judge to help protect her son. In a 2-page handwritten statement, Adrian Ayola asks family court judge Barry Pinkus to grant a restraining order against the father of her child. He is a danger to my child and me, she writes. I am afraid he is going to do something to my son. He told me he would put me in the ground and put something on me to make me disintegrate faster. The warning about Tony Moreno came weeks ago. It is signed by a notary public on June 17th, 2.5 weeks before the 911 call that led authorities to scour the Connecticut River for the body of a 7-month-old baby.
We're following breaking news out of East Haddam this evening. State and Middletown police are confirming to News 8 the body of the infant from Middletown has been found in the Connecticut River. 7-month-old, who police say went missing after his father jumped off the Aragoni Bridge in Middletown, has come to an end after 2 long days. The baby's body was found in the Connecticut River near the Salmon River boat launch in East Haddam. News 8's Jason Newton joins us live tonight from the scene where the baby was found on this breaking news story. Jason?
And that's right. We're here on the banks of the Connecticut River in East Haddam, right by the Salmon River boat launch. You can see it's still an active scene behind me where the body of 7-month-old Aiden Moreno was found before 8 o'clock. They're still out here processing the scene. And like you said, it's been 2 days of searching. It started with the father's murder-suicide attempt, and it culminates here tonight. We're learning tonight from court documents that Judge Barry Pinkus denied an application by the baby's mother for a restraining order against the father, Tony Moreno.
That there were very clear indication of both present physical violence as well as threats of physical violence.
Liza Andrews is with the Connecticut Coalition Against Domestic Violence. She says the signs were there and it seems they were ignored.
What we're seeing, though, in this instance is not unusual, where a restraining order is denied when we feel that there was very clear merit to the case.
Barry Goldstein was reached via Skype. He's an expert scholar on domestic violence and custody courts.
But I think he's part of a bigger problem, a system that is not working.
Goldstein says judges don't have the proper training. He calls it a decades-old problem, saying that judges are taking risk with children when making these rulings.
And the courts developed practices that turned out to be wrong. They're not using domestic violence experts. They're not using current research. And as a result, they tend to minimize or deny true allegations of abuse.
Adrienne Ayola is the baby's 19-year-old mother. She made several allegations of abuse in her written statements to the court. She claimed Tony Moreno, quote, has shoved me, pushed me, forcefully poked my chest and forehead. Ayola said she feared for her safety and the safety of her child, quoting again, I'm afraid he is going to do something to my son. He is angry and probably isn't thinking straight. Judge Pinkus did not rule in her favor, saying, I'm just not convinced that there's a continuous threat of present physical pain or physical injury.
Make the health and safety of children the first priority in all custody and visitation decisions. Seems obvious, but that's not what the court is doing. They need to err on the side of safety instead of taking risks with children.
State records show nearly half of all restraining order applications are denied. In Connecticut, that number is rising. We're finding out having a restraining order denied is pretty common, actually. You can read for yourself in the judge's own words why he denied the protective custody. In this case, it's on our website, WTNH.com. By the way, Judge Pinkus, the same judge that was criticized for giving parental custody to one of the men responsible for the Cheshire home invasion.
We are now getting a glimpse into the mind of a father who has confessed to killing his son before trying to take his own life. 21-year-old Tony Moreno is now charged with the murder in the death of his young son, Aiden. And we are learning more now from newly released text messages about what happened in the final moments before Moreno threw Aiden from the Aragoni Bridge in Middletown. News 8's Brian Spiros joins us live from our New Haven newsroom with more on the text conversation between Moreno and his son's mother before that tragedy unfolded. Brian.
Well, good afternoon, Keith. Earlier this week, we learned that Aiden's mother, Adrienne Oyola, tried to take out a restraining order for her and her son against Tony Moreno. She said she feared for her and her son's safety. That restraining order was denied. Court documents revealed there were growing issues between Moreno and Oyola, which culminated late Sunday night several hundred feet above the Connecticut River. A text conversation began between the two right around 11:18. Moreno texted Oyola saying he needed to talk to her. When she asked what it was about, he basically told her not to worry about it. The following messages transpired between the two right around 11:30, shortly before Moreno and his son went off the bridge. Typos and all, these are the actual messages. Tony says to her, "Enjoy your new life without us," to which Adrienne responds, "You can't just decide not to bring him back, Tony. Seriously, don't play around like that. Please don't try and take him from me." Tony says, "You tried to take him away from me. You failed. I didn't. Enjoy your new life without us." Adrienne says, "Where are you? Where's Aiden?" And this is the part where it gets very chilling. Tony says he's dead, and soon I will be too. She then responds by saying, "You're playing right now. Please tell me you're kidding." Oyola continued to plead with Moreno to answer her back, not knowing if he was serious, and as we now know, unfortunately, he was. Moreno was pulled from the Connecticut River and taken to the hospital. After an intense two-day search, Aiden's body was found nearly 20 miles downriver in East Haddam. Police say Moreno admitted to throwing his son off the bridge before he jumped. He is currently being held on a $2 million bond and has been turned over to the Department of Corrections.